Go ahead and get into some slates here for today. This showdown specifically to start with. And I'm also going to get to at the end here, as sort of a bonus on this video, be able to talk about the NFL Super Bowl, so we can get into that a little bit as well. What I usually do here is, well, I've done variations of this. Let me know as to if any comments, what I could do, what you request better. Some people like me to just cover everything and put it like on my blog, I suppose. So that works well on fantasyfootball.com. The first matchup here is Toronto at Denver, and we can run with this game if we want. I may just skip it. Uh, I played yesterday, Toronto and Cleveland, and it didn't turn out so well, probably because I did it too early in the day. I set everything up early and didn't come out so well. The other two did very well, were profitable, so we could do that with the other two late games, which I'm a lot more excited about. But if you're doing this, still want to run it through it. 113 to 106 a projected score to give you an idea there. The big man in the middle, interestingly, Drummond, probably versus Siakam, unless, let's see here. Yeah, Marcus All may come back, so that'll be a good matchup. We may look to that. I like particularly after I kind of really dove into like 10-minute highlights on YouTube in his last matchup, which I did do last night. Um, how Svi looked. This guy, however you say his last name, he's projected, for example, here for 30 points. Sorry, 30 minutes, 10 points. I mean, he can do well offensively, but his defense was lacking. And then, so he would match up on guys like that position, Norman Powell and OG Anobi. So just something to keep in mind, I think, matchup wise, from what I could see. So the only questionable or sorry, rather outful or doubtful guy is Luke Kennard for the Pistons. So we can pretty much fire up the guys that we've been using. If you've been playing NBA DFS at all lately, you know kind of what to do and where you go to get the updates. As I pretty much break it down as thoroughly as I can and get some help here doing so as well on NBA Football at football.com. Go to this forum right here, click there, and then go to this particular one right here for the day. It's already up. So you can hit that and make any comments there also if you like. So I'm going to go ahead and move on here to the next game. Much more exciting. It's Memphis at New Orleans. Um, Smoothie King Center. I didn't know that was the name of the arena there. But whole lot of interesting info and data you can pick up here with lines and so forth, line movement, game logs, and so on. But what I saw was a very fast paced. When I looked at these highlights, very fast paced, very high scoring game through all quarters. So you can expect that here, and try to get in the main slate these guys into your lineups because they'll do well. So as far as any guys out or doubtful, we've got Jaren Jackson. So JJJ out. That's very significant for Memphis. So his replacement is the easiest way, of course, always to get some value. We can look at probably at that position, Jay Crowder and Kyle Anderson. So those guys are doing okay right now. So I'm not particularly. I prefer Crowder to stick him in there as sort of his replacement because he can do a lot when he's in there. So you can also look at Ingram and Holiday, and of course Zion on this side over here. As far as anybody else, they kind of have to play bench or lesser roles, so it's kind of difficult now to get a whole lot of value from this particular team. However, you want the guys from the game, as I said, overall. So that's that. And then moving on here to the Lakers in Portland. This is also has some star power. It'll be a nice, I think, late night game, probably closer to what's indicated here by the projection score to me, because you got some Carmelo versus James, so that'll work out well and good. And then this is an emotional game here with the Lakers. and just my thoughts and perspective because a lot of people have been, of course, talking about this is that when it comes to spiritual beliefs and whatever you have is different for everybody. Um, the thing is that you grew up watching somebody like, in my case, Michael Jordan, and I didn't watch Kobe Bryant as much as I watched like Jordan and now LeBron James. So when it comes to that, any stories, anything that anybody has to say, though I listen and I learn more about it, and it's not something that you get over. You just say, "Oh, let me get over it." No, because I know that if it happened to my guy, my hometown guy, that is LeBron James, being from Akron, Ohio, um, it would be pretty difficult, especially with a guy that happened to um, that's even playing right now. So, um, I just want to say that I would feel for anybody in that position that, I feel for all 10 of the people, um, that's very difficult. But it takes time for some healing, of course, and to get over it, no, you never would. So that's not something that um, people just move on from and get over because that's not how we as humans work. Um, Death is not a natural thing, and that's not how, And I also bring this up because it relates to all sports in general right now. 'Cause I love sports and I love DFS in general. So it also kind of leads us into, this is a good matchup here, by the way, before I kind of move on real quick. As I said, um, anybody out or doubtful, the same guys here for Portland. Um, and we can look to fire up, some of these guys even off the bench, like Simons. He did well last matchup. Um, Whiteside did well as well. So just look at it. It's kind of hard to project based off the last matchup, but Kuzma did well as well in that game, but it doesn't always translate to the next game. So keep that in mind too. But anyways, I was saying that in this matchup here, from what are the things I've kind of gathered and heard so far uh, with this game, um, following up from the Kobe tragedy, was that a lot. It's even affecting players in other sports. Um, so I know Richard Sherman made comments on it and that he wants to play, somewhat. It's just nice to be able to talk, on YouTube. If you have your own channel, sometimes I recommend it as well yourself. Get on there, and even if nobody's, you don't have that many people or that many subscribers actually watching, there's some subscribers here, but you know, it's nice to just be able to talk and be able to call people up and talk sometimes because that can help you out as well, and it can help other people. So the thing is, the overarching view of everything is be able to help out every um, other person as much as possible because everybody moves on, but heals in their own way. So that was just the point to kind of really get across. So I know I may have stopped here just to talk about um, DFS, football, basketball, whatever it is you're interested in, but that's just my view on the life in general. Is that whatever I can learn from, even though I didn't follow him, like I said, as closely as others, I feel for the people that lost Kobe Bryant. All right, so San Francisco, Kansas City, it's the high scoring game. Um, Betting wise, now it's at a 54 and a half. I don't know. I believe that's risen up. That's interesting. Um, I can kind of go back and forth during the week. I kind of feel now that I would take the under on that. So, as far as particular contests, I haven't decided which way and direction to go. I don't see anything on Fantasy Draft. It's recommended to go there and actually go to lesser played games to try to get more winning share and less rake. So I don't know. I think I'd just probably stay with DraftKings. That's where the masses go to try to win one of these showdown slate type contests. And what I'll do and what I recommend you do too as well is if you can get access to all these guys, all the picks, different views of the game and how it'll go. But this is the basic rundown and projection of the game itself. Um, Interestingly, just the background more of the game though is that this comes from the Bill Walsh tree, coaching tree of the West Coast offense. Both teams, Andy Reid and Shanahan, the son of Kyle's, Kyle Shanahan. He's the son, right? Mike Shanahan is the father, right? So it all comes from which he, the father coached under Walsh. All it comes from the same coaching tree and philosophy, which is a short uh, to intermediate route passing games, precise, but sets up the run. And it doesn't matter how you run it, the offense, you're going to have, well, it does matter, but the balance of the offense doesn't matter. You see what's nice, or great about it is Kansas City barely runs, San Francisco runs a lot. So you're going to see now, you can pick strategy worked for me before in a showdown very well, actually. As I remember, very nicely, interestingly, also was that one time I had a showdown slate. It was a Monday night game, I believe. It was Kansas City versus the Rams, and it was the highest scoring Monday night game ever. I remember picking up this guy, Damian, and yeah, he was the running back that went off that night. There was another guy. He's not showing him here on the roster, but I don't recall who exactly it was. But there was also a guy who's another guy doing well. If I would have picked the right guy, I would have won that. But I came in fairly, good, like top 100 or something like that out of, I don't know, 10,000 people. So that went well. And the other thing that went well, not with this team, but with it was a Monday night game this year when I picked up two running backs. It was Samuel and James Conner for Pittsburgh. And they played against, I don't recall what team they were playing, but it turned out very well as well. So when the game's scripted out and you think about, well, if San Francisco gets their running game going and they do what they want to do, and Kansas City does what they want to do, even with the running game, with the running backs, that is, I like to emphasize using the running backs. That's kind of contrary to what is the usual optimal based strategy and what you'll find. And if you do more in depth research, that the quarterback stack with a pass catcher does well. But actually, in this case here, if you stack Mahomes with Damian Williams, you might do well because he's not only in the running but in the passing game. So that's the way I look at it and see it as far as a showdown. And my recommendations, just from based on a couple experiences to see, and then the Super Bowl game itself, could go over, could go under. I don't know. I'm not in the game of betting. I'm just trying to give you a better idea of who potentially can control the game. Like I said, there's similarities and there's very distinct dissimilarities between the teams. And it's the main matchup is the number one offense basically versus the number one projected or number one scoring, not number one scoring, but number one defense overall in the league throughout the year. So this is the body work these two teams have put up. The prices are laid out here. So you got to just take a stand on what you think there. Try to choose pick a good site, good contest. Get on a showdown on that. And that's just my help and advice here. And I'll post some of this on my blog, wealthyfansfootball.com, to update too for the football uh, Super Bowl slate. All right. So that's all I'll be saying here for today, and have a great one.